Well, it's interesting. It's like I told you hit on a couple things that are as far as the quarterbacks that are really interesting to me. One, um, the Niners have a very cheap quarterback room, right? I mean, Trey Lance is on a rookie deal, and he even though he makes more, but Purdy's also on a rookie deal. So, like, you know, there's a lot of different ways they can go about it. They could bring in a third guy, like a veteran who's been there, done it before. If they could get like somebody like an Andy Dalton or Taylor Heineke or, fill in the blank, your mediocre older player, that may make sense. But then you wonder, would a player like that even want to come here? Then after watching the All-Star games this weekend, I watched the Senior Bowl. I can't watch the Pro Bowl stuff. I really can't. But I watched the Senior Bowl and I watched the East-West game and I watched the collegiate All-Star game, the college PA game from the Rose Bowl. And I really like Malik Cunningham from Louisville, who's really, really fast. I mean, like, he's fast, he's athletic, and yet he throws a pretty good ball. I don't think he's Lamar. I mean, they'll make the Lamar comparisons because Lamar played at Louisville and he played at Louisville. He's not Lamar, but Malik Cunningham is super athletic and he throws a really good ball. So I was looking at some of the mock drafts. They had him going like 5th round, 6th round. I'd be interested in that. Jake Hayner, who played at Fresno State, was the MVP of the Senior Bowl. Julie Hayner from KTVU's son. And he's like, in some ways, Raj, he's like Brock Purdy. I mean, he's 6 feet. He doesn't, he's 4-year starter, very experienced, really a lot of moxie, a lot of toughness, pretty accurate. So like I'm thinking about looking at this Niner quarterback room, and I guess I've got 2 prevailing thoughts. One is, after this year, I kind of feel like next year should not include any Josh Johnsons. And when I say that, I love Josh, by the way. I shouldn't put that out there like that because I really like Josh. And Josh's a good dude. And I interviewed him, Bay Area guy, Oakland Tech, just a guy, the kind of guy, as a Bay Area native myself, Raj, I root hard for Josh Johnson. But what I mean by that is I don't think they should have anybody who's not ready to play right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And whether that's, I mean, and that means I don't mind if it's a rookie. Like, I'd be okay if they went with Jake Hayner in the draft and you had Brock and Jake Hayner and Trey, or Malik Cunningham in the draft and you got Brock and Trey and Malik Cunningham or whatever. It's like, I'm okay with a rookie quarterback and having 3 guys on rookie deals. I just think it's really important that all 3 guys are legitimate NFL quarterbacks who you can play with if need be. Otherwise, why do you have a guy on your roster? Why have a backup quarterback at all if your backup quarterback can't come into a game and theoretically win it for you? And I just felt like once Purdy went out, my wife, who doesn't know tons about sports, was like, well, Purdy was the backup. Now here, and I'm like, no. Honey, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And she's like, why? Well, it's just that Josh Johnson's 36. He's a career backup. He was just signed, 3-4 weeks prior. He probably doesn't know the full scope of the offense. He hasn't been getting any of the reps. He really, I don't think was here to play. He's there just to kind of practice.
He's a placeholder.
He's a placeholder. Right. Yeah. So, but like, I don't need Andy Dalton or an NFL starter as the 3rd quarterback, but I do need that 3rd quarterback to be a guy who can play. And I'd be totally fine with Ayuk's contract coming and Bosa's contract coming and them having cap issues. Why not go with a guy in the draft that you like and then just coach? They all need development, whether it's Brock or Trey or this rookie. And then just say to Greasy, hey, you got a room full of young guys. Bring them all along. Coach them all up. Let's see how it goes. And then if you get to December or January next year and Trey's hurt and Brock's hurt, but you still got Jake Hayner, maybe you got a shot. Or maybe you still got Malik Cunningham, and he's a different quarterback. He's more of a run-around athlete guy, but you know what? You can still win games with him. So that's what I want to see out of the quarterback room. I went into the weekend thinking Andy Dalton, somebody like that. But now after watching some of these rookies, I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with Brock and Trey and a rookie.
And I agree with that. And again, I was kind of going into the same mindset. They got to get a veteran. Who's the guy? Because, you know, Kyle, they said we're going to look for a mid-tier kind of quarterback veteran. And then you start thinking, okay, there's Trubisky, there's Andy Daltons of the world, there's Gardner Minshew. But then you sit there and say, okay, imagine worst-case scenario, Brock can't play, Trey goes down or something. Your hands are in the, you know, the keys are in the hands of a guy like that. And then you have to sit there and say, can they win a Super Bowl? I don't know if they could win it with a Andy Dalton or a Brock, you know, or Gardner Minshew. And again, no disrespect to Josh Johnson. He wasn't ready for that. Like, when he came into that game, I bet you he was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm even in this situation.
Right.
Because he wasn't supposed to be there. So it makes you look back at the beginning of the season and as the injuries progressed. And, you know, they always try to do their due diligence and get players to plug and play. And they've done a good job with developing. That's why they got Brock Purdy. It was like an injury case scenario, right? He beat out Sudfeld. Oh my God, he comes in and he came in. And like you said, he's not the same as Josh because it was this rookie, chip on his shoulder, turned the tide of the team and was like, okay, oh my God, we have this guy. I don't think they expected to have all their quarterbacks get hurt. And at that moment, they were probably going, oh man, a couple of weeks ago, we could have got a different quarterback. But that late into the season, there really wasn't anybody. Josh has been on the team before, so I'm sure he knows some of the concepts. But in that moment, in the NFC Championship game, the stage was way too big for a career journeyman who's been in the league for 15 years, 13 touchdowns in those years. So it was just not his moment. It was just not good luck for us. So I agree with you. Maybe take a young guy because he can develop, and it's worth a shot to throw a guy. Because how bad can like a Malik Cunningham be compared to a Mitch Trubisky? You might get the same result, losing in the NFC Championship again. Yeah. But at least you have a young guy that you can develop and say, okay, Trey Lance has gone through another year of injury. Brock Purdy, another year of injury. At least you have a young guy to develop because I'm not hating on a guy like, Gardner Minshew or Andy Dalton, but their ceiling is their ceiling. They've hit their ceiling. If you get a young guy, they may be able to develop and give you something more. And again, to me, the biggest issue that stopped the 49ers in winning a Super Bowl under Kyle Shanahan is the quarterback. And, I feel like he's very similar in his career path as Andy Reid. He went to 4 NFC Championship games during the early 2000s. He went to a Super Bowl. They lost every single one of those big games. Then he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, and he was like one and done every year in the AFC, and then he finally gets Mahomes. And now look at him, 5 AFC championships. They're in 3 Super Bowls. This is his opportunity to win his second one. That's what it was. It was the quarterback. And until Kyle finds the quarterback, which I thought we might have with Brock, until he finds that quarterback, we're going to be just sitting here talking about quarterback. Again, another offseason talking about quarterback. And it's crazy because he can't. The other issue, too, though, about if they do get a young guy is can they win with him? Because they may be able to develop him. But Kyle has just shown that he has had a hard time winning with certain quarterbacks. He won with Jimmy. He couldn't win with Beathard. He couldn't win with Mullins. And then here comes Hoyer. Brock Purdy comes along. Yeah, and Hoyer. And here comes Brock Purdy. And they're winning games. So he just has to have the right guy for his system. And I think Brock was the guy. But it's unfortunate, the surgery. And then going back to the news we talked about, it's nice that he might be back by August because we kind of need him.
No question. Gizmo.